25 News at 6. The local community groups in Flint are getting some grant money to spruce up their neighborhood and ensure a better sense of community. We'll be right back. The Asbury Community Development Corporation and United Methodist Church have received a neighborhood grant to help Flint residents support one another. But as NBC 25's Josh Marshall tells us, this is no ordinary program.
Project Know Your Neighbor will focus on a small area close to Asbury Church that has about 100 households around the church. Their plan for success relies on time banking, an idea that could bring new hope to the community. 2 blocks on Flint's east side are being targeted for a neighborhood improvement project.
The idea is to ask individuals about the things that they know how to do, particularly as it pertains to how it might help others in the neighborhood.
Toohey says he's seen a decline in the area and is heading the project to get the neighborhood back on its feet.
This is where I grew up, and life took me away from here for a few years, but I love these streets, and I learned about time banking, which is where if I help you, you pay me back by helping somebody else, and that's just a real good idea for Flint right now, helping people and then helping somebody else.
The goal is to have neighbors help neighbors, something Pastor McDaniel feels will ensure the project's success.
This neighborhood is full of children, it's full of parents, it's full of grandparents and aunts and uncles, and it's full of people who have a hope for their own life. And in each of those people is the capacity to have a more vibrant neighborhood. Time banking and finding out who lives in the community and what assets they are is a step in that direction to reestablish, reweaving that community. And that's what we need. If we know each other, we might be less likely to harm one another.
The time banking project is in its beginning stages, but if you're interested in joining the Asbury Church's efforts, or just let them know what your specialty is, send an email to flintasburyumc@gmail.com.
Hi, my name is Tom. I've got this idea and I want your help. I can't do this alone. If you live in Flint, Michigan, between 475, Robert T. Longway Boulevard, Dort Highway, and Leith Streets, I'm talking to you. We got some money from the Community Foundation, $1,000. And you and I live in the same place. See? Right there. Flint. Everything that happened to me from the moment I was born until I was 18 years old happened inside that square right there. Let me show you where I was born. I was born in 1950 at St. Joseph Hospital. I went to Civic Park Elementary School, Longfellow Junior High School, and Northern High School. That's me right there. I'm the candidate's mummy. I was carried up to the stage on the back of a football player who set me there. And then I was also on the cross-country team. And I even got to be the Viking in my senior year. Of course, in those days, when you were 18, 19 years old, there was a good chance you'd go into the military, and that's what I did. And later on, I was actually on television. And that's why I'm talking to you now, because I have this idea, but I wanted you to know a little bit about me, so this is from the old days.
If we're lucky, we can retain at least some of the wonder and magic of childhood, the ability to see each day as an adventure. In New Orleans, there's a man named Tom Foote who understands those treasured qualities of innocence, and he uses that understanding to bring happiness to just about everyone he meets. Not everyone begins their day quite like Tom Foote, but then not everyone wakes up and assumes the daily responsibilities of a clown. Or foolishness, as Tom likes to call it, has been part of his life for as long as he can remember. But there is a message behind this tomfoolery, a message of communicating, whatever form it may take.
The message I'm trying to preach to people is communication, you see. And I guess the mode I'm using is the things that make up childhood or childlike activities. What I'm trying to strive for is show people different ways of communicating. It's not so much important what you're communicating, really. It's the fact that you're communicating and that you find as many different ways to communicate as you can.
Finding ways to communicate his performing talents was not easy in the beginning. After a colorful career that included street mime performing in Europe, Tom moved to New Orleans and began where many actors in search of work begin, at Jackson Square, one of the world's most distinctive come-as-you-are, open-air stage type settings. Visits to Jackson Square are fewer and farther between these days, but Tom's appeal with children has helped to fashion a variety of newer and more profitable stages for Tom and his traveling show. When independent Channel 26 wanted to add a little punch into their daytime programming for children, they had to look no further than to this face, which is now one of the city's most recognizable smiles. The show is, of course, for kids, but its themes run more along the lines of maturity, responsibility, and getting involved.
For everybody to know what to do with close catch on fire.
Hey, that really sounds important. Can you show me?
Okay, see, the first to stop is running with fan the flames to make the fire go worse. Then you cover your face with your hands and drop. Then you roll over and
I like working with kids because they're so direct. I like working with kids because they're fun. I like working with kids because they're not caught up like adults are. Adults are a little bit oftentimes trapped, and the kids don't have all those holes built into them yet. And they're still pliable somewhat and able to take in information and able to take that seed that I'll plant and grow with it.
When Dental Health Day came to Audubon Zoo, who better to bring advice about teeth to young ears than the merry messenger, Tom Foote.
Many people think false teeth is real neat. Well, you're wrong. Not neat at all.
From a role model on New Orleans television to a spokesperson for the Dental Health Association, Tom's reputation has become established enough with some parents that they now send their children to a class taught by Master Foote.
Well, I've watched Tom with kids, and he just really has a knack for communicating with them without talking down to them. I really think that he teaches them a certain respect for themselves and for other people.
Now what do I do?
Why don't you just hold on a second, and we'll all try to go on to the next step together. I'm concerned that it's tough being a kid. I think it must be hard making decisions nowadays because you've got influences from the music world and from TV and movies and your own peer group pressure and parental pressure and your siblings and video games and computers and, you know, how do you make choices anymore? Do you just shut out all those things and go down one straight narrow line, or do you try to touch on all things and satisfy all those things, or shut them out, like I said before? It's very tough. So I'm trying to be an island of calm in the midst of all this and say, look, it's okay to make a mistake sometimes.
If it's hard to be a kid these days, then what hope is there for the adults? Well, as Tom likes to point out, it's never too late to have a happy childhood. This is Foolishness 101, a class offered by Tulane University. In control of this uninhibited group is none other than the town's favorite clown, Professor Tom Foote. Foolishness 101 is a mixed bag of games, storytelling, gestures, and other colorful techniques Professor Tom employs to help loosen the restraints modern-day living puts on the adult world. sadly, not everyone can take advantage of the classes Tom offers. There are those less fortunate who spend their sunny afternoons inside, confined to hospital treatment. For those special few, Tom takes his show on the road.
Let's have a big round of applause for Tom Foot.
Children's hospitals are sad but happy places because that's where broken kids go to get fixed. And I can go and help them while they're getting fixed and be friendly.
Now, what if somebody came to you and told you that there was something they'd seen made of magic?
It's just nice to do. It's nice to reach out from yourself a little and go from your nice, warm, safe home and go to some place and do something nice for people.
Children in hospitals aren't Tom's only concern. There are hundreds of others, the blind and the physically handicapped who are confined to their homes. A little bit of foolishness reaches them too, through the facilities of WRBH Radio.
A mixed grab bag of stories, games, activities, and interesting facts. No matter what your age, it's never too late to have a happy childhood. So sit back, relax, and join me as we dabble in a little foolishness.
I still essentially go for the idea of that former person who used to travel from town to town, probably by walking or with a horse of some sort, and they would juggle and they would paint their face and wear the funny hats. They could teach people. They could bring something out of the ordinary to an ordinary person's everyday life.
And it shall be written, or at least videotaped, that there came to this coastal kingdom a modern-day court jester, wearing unmatched socks and silly hats with bells. And what he found was what he dreamed about finding. People who could still take time out of their day to stop and laugh.
Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that. All my life I've kind of tried to do things in my own way, and honestly, I haven't always been all that successful. I'm just kind of lucky because people took care of me. Because my grandma and grandpa and my mom and my uncle and my dad and my stepdad and everybody made it so I could be here today talking to you. I just think it's time that we all started talking to each other. And there's this idea about finding out the things that people can do. Those are called assets. Those are the things that we can do and match them with people who have needs and try to see if we can't communicate with each other and become a stronger community. So, watch this next part and listen carefully because I'm going to do some thinking right there in front of you and try to figure out what I think we should try to do. And I want you to be at the next meeting, okay? And help us all figure out together just how it is we can grow this community and stop people from hurting each other and start people to helping each other, okay? So watch carefully. This next part can be kind of long, but if you stick with it, maybe we can all talk together about how we can make this a better place to live for everybody. Okay, here we go.
So the question then becomes the deliverable.
Okay.
So I know in the one interview you mentioned 100 households.
Somebody mentioned, I think the guy mentioned 100. I didn't.
Maybe he did. Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. I don't know where he got it. Maybe it wasn't you. It might have been
I was a little surprised where he got it from.
Okay, so, and I probably made the presumption that he got it out of our conversations with you because I didn't know we were about 100's okay.
I know, it's a fine number. I hadn't thought about it, actually, that it was even a limited number or not. I just didn't think about it.
Maybe, let's do two things. Let's do, so deliverables, and maybe over here, steps.
Okay.
So, because I just thought of a step, and we might as well write those down.
Okay.
Inventory of households.
Yes.
In target area.
And I would say, too, there might be a definition on what household means, but maybe that's for a later moment. But
yeah, when I said household here, I'm assuming physical locations.
And whether there's anybody in it, and those kinds of things. And just off the top of my head, I would tend to avoid houses where there's gangs kind of clustered in them, you know, as opposed to a residential person. I don't know how you figure that stuff out. But I don't want to walk into a real problem. I don't mind risking myself, but I don't want to be stupid about it. Walking out of the house is a risk.
Okay, so there's some decisions we have. Where to begin, houses to avoid, target areas. When I say where to begin, I'm really thinking physically.
Yeah. Oh, you literally, yeah, well, sure, yeah. Well, does proximity to the physical church make a difference? Is the church a center and we grow from the center of it outward? Or is just the whole area? And do we have it? Okay, what are our parameters? If this is our widest area, do we realistically think we can cover the whole area?
No,
I think not.
No.
Yeah, so short of widest.
That's why I said target area is an important decision.
Yeah.
And in order to get to that decision, we need to have an inventory of households.
Right.
Because we really need to start to estimate how many households.
Or else we're just guessing. So, yes.
There's sort of two ways to arrive at a particular schedule.
Okay.
At least two, but two directions you can come from. One is to say that this is what I need to accomplish, and these are the things I need to do it. The other is to say, this is the resource I have to work with. Say, I have this much resource. I have $1,000, and therefore I will do what I can do with $1,000.
Exactly, no more.
And I won't do any more than that because that's what I have fixed.
My limit, yeah.
The other one is what I have fixed is what I need to deliver, and whatever resources I need, I need to estimate them, but I'm not going to not do it because I don't have resources, because that's not my fix. Those are the two directions, but you can meet in the middle, so to speak.
They're here. They're like me. They're early.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. But that's if you could take a little bit of time and just keep doing this. What are the decisions we have to make? What are the steps we have to make? And it'll begin to solidify what the deliverable is. Because we need to decide at a very high level, and then we need to decide at a very detailed level what we're going to actually
This is the neighborhood.
deliver.
These are the names we have in the neighborhood. We have Tanya and Nicey. And Yolanda, in that little corner of the block near Kersley Park. And we have Richard and Kayla. And across the way on Dort Hwy, we have Jenny and Ellen, Northern, class of 72. And Tommy was just talking about deliverable. What can we try to consider that will be deliverable by the last day of the program? And to do that, under the steps that we have to follow through, the first would be to make an inventory of the households in the target areas. Among the decisions we're going to have to make are, what is the target area? Are there more than one target area? There might be some houses we'd prefer not to go to for safety factors. And where to begin? What's going to be the first house we're going to try to reach? And what is the total number of households we're going to reach? 100? We don't know. Well, I know what I would like to deliver. I would like to deliver the most list of assets and by that I mean human assets, not material. Knowing our material assets is important, but that's not the focus of this project. The project focus, in my understanding, is to come up with the most comprehensible list of assets, human assets, as possible. I know one way to begin to make the first step in my mind. I would like to have in my possession, when I first go out to the neighborhoods, a single sheet of paper that shows the neighborhood in a simple drawn box with a few highlights of what it is we're trying to do. And I would like to have this in my hand, and I would like to explore the neighborhoods informally. And when I say informally, I mean go around, and as I'm driving down a street and I see a neighbor who's out doing the regular things that people do in neighborhoods, being with their kids or washing the car or whatever people do, you know, and see them and make eye contact with them. Make eye contact. Make eye contact. And engage them in conversation. And when I engage them, have at the ready those things I need to have them know. They need to know the who, what, why, where, and when of this project. They need to know who it's for, who's doing it. They need to know what's going to happen. They need to know why it's going to happen. They need to know where it's going to happen. And they need to know when it's going to happen on a single sheet of paper that I can engage and begin to explore the neighborhoods informally by making that eye contact and engaging them with this information right here. That will answer some of the questions regarding, it'll give us a sense of the target areas because of meeting people here and finding out where they live and using those people as the stepping stone to people they are already in contact with and feel comfortable with to share this information that's also in this piece of paper here. One method is to utilize the people we already have. People we have, and those people we have will lead us to people
we don't know now, but will later, because we're getting to them through the people we already know. There's the trust factor that allows us to get to that group of people. The other way to reach people we don't know now is to do that informal that I was talking about, where I have a sheet of paper and just literally go through the neighborhoods, go through almost fishing, I guess you would say, fishing, for people to become engaged with. So I think right now the best I can answer to is what I would have to call the exploratory phase. The exploratory phase. And I need to compile a list that is going to contribute to the inventory of households. And until we know what we're dealing with, we can't, well, it'll help to define what's going to be deliverable. So what do we need to know? What do we need to know? We need to know the houses, the number of houses, and the number of people in those houses, and in some way start to build a number of the assets or gifts that they have to share. Once we know how many houses, how many people, and the assets there are, only then will we know, will we be able to formulate into one idea of what it is we'll be able to deliver. And some of the things we'll deliver are going to be intangible things, better communication between people who today don't know each other. Today, the people who don't know one another, by the end of the time, they will. There are some people who don't know each other today that because of this effort we're going to go through, they will know each other by the time we're done. The one result there are people today who do not know each other. And when we are done, there will be people who will know new people. And that's what builds community. in the bonds. By building bonds. Connections, connectors between people. So one of the deliverables will be to determine that we can show a number of people who today don't know one another, who by the time we're done, will know one another. And effectively be able to show that we have strengthened the connections between the people in the community, thereby creating a better community of people who have a greater sense of what's going on in the community, with the kind of thinking it takes a village. How's that go? It takes a village to raise a child, is that right? In any event, yeah, people knowing what's going on makes for a safer community. We know who's supposed to be there naturally. We know who are visitors, and we welcome them and interact with them. And if we feel we have to defend ourselves from them, then we can work as a unit because we know each other better when that occurs as well. So, deliverable, a list of assets, human, not material. We're going to need to know the numbers of houses and people and the assets or gifts. And the result we hope we get from that there are people today who don't know one another who will by the time we're done with this. I believe we're in an exploratory phase right now, and the inventory of the houses, it's just what this is up here. I need to explore the neighborhoods informally, make eye contact, engage people, and give them this piece of paper that explains the who, what, why, where, when. People we have. We use the people we have to reach the people we do not know now. That's the second way. The first way was me going through informally. The second mode of getting to know new people we don't know yet are to tap the resources we already have. And my exploratory going through the neighborhoods might be kind of analogous to fishing. Going out fishing to see if I get lucky on a particular day and engage with somebody who is in the neighborhood, that's all. So target areas, houses to avoid. Again, I just want to know that. Okay, a little bit of redundancy there, but that's how I see it. I'm going to turn off the battery now. Save some.